jobs because I just didn't relate to people. No one wanted to hire me. And of course there are other issues because law firms want people who can get other clients, and I really didn't have those kind of credentials, which is fine. And so I wound up working in Tallahassee. And I've been with the same place since 1974. It's an interesting company, and I won't get to that, but I know everything you never wanted to know about the law for local government. And I know it about in every state. I've worked in every state except Hawaii and Vermont, and had to learn their patterns. And it suits my inquisitive nature and the way I can, just the way it is. I get hold of things and I don't let go. I did have a few hobbies, so to speak. I was into music. I played saxophone and clarinet, and as chances are, that's how I wound up getting married. I was playing clarinet at First Baptist Church in Tallahassee. By the way, I live in Tallahassee, but I had nothing to do with the government. So don't get mad at me if you don't like any of the policies coming out of Tallahassee. I have nothing to do with it. I have run into senators and governors and stuff like that, but I don't have any influence on them, I swear. But anyway, there was a young man playing trombone who was pretty good on the trombone, and he had a fiancée coming in town. And one day he was out of town. He had gone to Fermi Labs, and so his fiancee's mother comes in town, and I looked at her, and my jaw dropped. And I thought she had to have been married at age 18 to start having children. And of course that was Jill's mother also. And it took a while, but we wound up getting married in 1995, January 7th. And she sort of gave me something I never had, respectability. In churches, single people are always those single people. Yeah, churches are family oriented. When you aren't a family, you have a problem. And so I gained some respectability immediately. And it even worked a lot better in business. People liked me better at the office, not that I cared. Our customers, which were city officials, liked me better because when they saw this old bachelor coming in, they had to think, well, here's this weirdo. And so that's what they thought. That's just the way life is. I'm not complaining about it. It's just, we have to accept life the way it is. So we'll segue ahead. We got married June 11th, June 11th actually, 2000. My wife was diagnosed with stage 3 ovarian cancer. And I will quote what the doctor said is relayed to me by Wanda, who was very good at stuff like that. The oncologist came in and said, if your case goes the way I normally see these cases go, after about 4 or 5 years, you will get tired of the pain and stop fighting and die. Now, the fact of the matter is, though, that the average survival rate at that time for stage 3 ovarian cancer was about 5 years. He was just being very blunt. And so, till my wife passed in 2013, we were dealing with cancer. And I would always go to the oncologist with my wife. I would go to the chemo sessions for several reasons. First of all, the oncologist actually revealed to us, and I think this may have been mentioned earlier, but there is a very high rate of divorce among couples where the wife comes down with cancer, especially a gynecological type cancer, breast cancer, ovarian cancer, stuff like that. Men just tend to leave their wife and divorce them, which I don't find particularly masculine. I think it's unacceptable. And also, they'll tell you in any disease, the doctors, that your attitude is very important. attitude when you have a significant other in your life has a lot to do with is that significant other there. So I went to the doctors to show them that I was completely behind my wife and I was supporting her. But initially I had a little, and this is partially why I'm telling this story, a little go around with the oncologist. And all the doctors for some reason like me. I think they like arguing with me. But let me just back up a minute. One of the things I learned in law school was I had quite a few courses in tax. And one of the things the IRS likes to do is come in and audit people and say, well, you either are paid this for this or claim credit for this, and you said it was value X. And the appraisers say it's value Y. And as far as the IRS is concerned, appraisers are never wrong. Of course, back in 2008, when we had the financial meltdown, we found that a lot of appraisers were very wrong about property values. But that's another issue. But the bottom line is you may not get very far in the IRS, but when you take it to court, what you can tell the courts and juries, and they listen to it, is, well, people make value. Appraisers do not. You're talking statistics. This is an actual transaction. This is what the value is. I very quickly turned that argument around onto the oncologist and the other doctors that told Wanda she had 4 to 5 years. I said, you're talking statistics. My wife does not have to be a statistic. She is an individual. And part of my message for the people here is, yes, the doctors may tell you that your loved one, certain things are going to happen, but it's not inevitable. All they can deal with is their experience. Science doesn't understand everything. No, we never engaged in alternative medicine type cures, to be sure. But we always kept a positive attitude, realizing what the statistics were. But if you keep that attitude, it'll help you keep going. When my wife died in 2013, she again outlived the doctor's predictions because she had stopped receiving chemo in June 2012, and she lived till April of 2013, April 27th, 2013, which was unheard of. Just getting hospice, which was just trying to keep her comfortable. But again, even when she went in the hospital for the last minute, when she died, I was confident she was going to come out. I kept hope. And we have to have hope. You have to be realistic. We can't be Pollyanna, to be sure. But hope can keep you going. I did have some recreation time. In fact, my employer was very good. I was able to work the last 6 months of her life at home. So I was there, and that gave us both hope because we were there. But there is always hope for every situation. We should never forget that. But as I said, my talk sort of goes back in full circle. Well, my wife dies in 2013. My parents were still alive, and they actually came over to the funeral. Not that I wanted them to, because they were too old, because they were born in 1923. So my dad dies in 2014, and I was sad, but when you live to be 92 years old, you got to say he lived a rich, full life, leaving my mother alive, who had had several strokes and has had several since then, and is living on her own now. And I have told her, come live with me, and she won't do it. She has 24-hour caregivers. My dad had worked for the Navy Department and then was in the Naval Reserve, so she has a fairly good income coming in, and she had some money saved. But the situations I find when I go over there is enough to drive you crazy, in that she says, well, I got TRICARE, which is the military retirement, and I got Medicare. I don't have to pay anything. No, that's not right. So I found bills that have been referred to debt collectors that I've had to pay and then take reimbursement. There's always something with her, and she's slowly going downhill. But You know, as it goes back, it started with my mother asking the doctors. It's going to end with me trying to give care for my mother, and I still have hope for her, but I know that she will eventually pass. We all, you know, the thing to remember is we all die, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know, to die. How we die is a different issue, but I guess the bottom line is I'm perhaps living proof that yes, some people with autism can have productive lives, and B, there is hope. I can give my wife having cancer opened even further avenues. People saw how I acted, and the next thing I know, I was made a deacon in the Baptist church. And, you know, without trying to be Pollyanna about anything, we don't understand how the world, what the divine plan is. I can give you an interesting, a historical example here, which I'll end on because I like history. Once upon a time, there was a man of Asian descent, born around Tbilisi in Soviet Georgia. He had sort of yellowish eyes. He had smallpox when he was a child, so he had a lot of pock marks on his face. He even had extra toes, which made him ineligible for military service. He, as a young man, made his living as a bank robber. And he stole some money for a cause. He probably killed a few individuals personally, but he wound up killing probably 15 to 20 million of his countrymen. And this individual was Joseph Stalin. And it was on February 2nd, 1943, at the city that bore his name, Stalingrad, that the German Sixth Army under von Paulus, who became the first German field marshal ever to surrendered. And that was the turning point in the European war against Adolf Hitler and Germany. And the bottom line is, here was a man that is, without a doubt, as evil as you can get, Joseph Stalin, yet for some reason he was instrumental in stopping just as great an evil, Adolf Hitler. We cannot understand the way this world works. Why my wife had cancer, I don't know. Why I have Asperger's, I don't know. There may be a plan. I'll say this, that they now don't call it Asperger's. They say I'm on the spectrum. I studied a little psychology in college, and I will say this, the fact that I know I have it lets me cope with it. Freud said that, but I don't accept his thing about you love your mother or something like that he goes into. But I do say this, I have a certain amount of problems with psychologists and psychiatrists, because one day I think they're going to come up with something called excessively normal syndrome. And then where are we going to be? What's normal? Who is to say? You know, and that's my attitude. It takes all kinds of people. I'm okay with the way I am. If you're okay with the way you are, some people function better than others, but that's just the way it is. You never can tell what good your loved one might do with, even though they have problems, how they might affect somebody else in a positive manner. Just as Joseph Stalin, an evil man, helped crush an evil in World War II, you can never know where we would have to call a tragedy. You may have some positive results in this world. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I don't have anything else to say. I think I've said it all, except I think the world of what y'all are doing and encourage you to continue. Thank you.